You probably heard about GDS Labs and their products, the Element series. This is the L-Amp and L-DAC, both are 2+. The L-DAC costs $299 where the L-Amp costs $249. They sum up at about $548. So today we are going to check out a stock. This is the L-Stack. With a name like this, I was expecting them to come with little Mexican hats. That would have been funny, but it is not L-Stack. It's not like something that's happening in Spanish or in Mexico. It's more like Element Stack. It is actually a pretty smart thing, but in my mind, it will always be funny to say L-DAC and L-Amp. It's like they're little gangsters. Those are the two. It is a stack. It looks very nice. And it is very practical. I usually had those placed beneath my monitor in the back, and they really leave enough space for my monitor, and I like that quite a lot because most DAC headphone amplifiers are too tall for my monitor, so they would obstruct my image. Those are really thin, and I had them placed next to each other. They look really cool. You can stack them on top of each other, but I wouldn't recommend doing so. Stacking them on top of each other gets the stack quite hot, especially if there are no cables connected to them. So the L-Amp in particular would grow really hot if there is power connected but no input cables connected. That is something to keep in mind. I've noticed it as a user and I thought it would be smart to mention it. L-DAC and L-Amp 2+ are both balanced. So this is the balanced variation, which has TRS balanced cables, both output and input. The output is on the DAC and the input is on the amp. I would have tried to make individual videos, but there is not enough content to fill 10 minutes of video for each. So I decided to make one video for both, but the stack is quite incredible. The L-Amp has one USB input, one optical input, and one coaxial input, and it has one TRS balanced output and one RCA single-ended output. It has a 15 volts VAC or volts AC input, and that is something I should talk about, but they have huge, and I mean huge, humongous power converters that you will need to have space for. If you use them as a stack, there will be two of them. L-Amp, on the other hand, has 16 VAC or volts AC input, and you'll need to have two different power converters for each. So it would be a really smart idea to check them out, and it would be really smart to never confuse them or you may burn one of them. I never switched the power supplies between them. We start with the DAC. L-DAC. This is the L-DAC. It has one LED light at the front, which is touch sensitive. So you touch it shortly to switch the input between optical, coaxial, and USB. If I recall correctly, it can also work with Bluetooth, but you need to order it with a Bluetooth module. And it changes lights when you select the input, and you keep it pressed for about 2 seconds to turn it on or off. And that is it. This is why I couldn't make a full video about it. It's like, it doesn't have volume control, it doesn't do anything besides being a DAC. I don't quite know what DAC chip is inside, and I could not find while writing the full written review, but if I will figure out by the time I'm posting this video, I will write it in the video description or pin a comment with it. The bottom of it is rubberized and it has this beautiful GDS Labs logo. It also has rubber feet. It grows warm during usage, not hot, but it is slightly warm. And you connect something to the input, usually USB input. I prefer that. And you connect something to the output, usually the TRS output, but I had both the TRS and the single-ended output connected at the same time. Connecting both at the same time does not degrade the sound. It sounds just as clear. So you can have, for example, the GDS L-Amp 2+ connected to the TRS output, so you have them connected via balanced cable, and you can have something else connected to the RCA single-ended output. I also had two pairs of speakers connected, one to the single-ended output and one to the TRS balanced output. Everything is possible with the L-DAC. I like saying that. It's like, it's such a fun name for a DAC. L-DAC. It's like intense. L-DAC. The construction quality is superb. It is a fully metallic device, no flex. No twisting force can be applied to it. Very solid. The only drawback would be that it can get a bit warm during usage, especially if it is turned off. Somehow they both can get a bit warm if they are turned off while they are on, and while there is music playing, both of them are stone cold. Don't quite understand why. Probably my computer is feeding them some kind of noise while they are turned off, so that is something I should look into. My computer can be quite noisy. I'm looking to upgrade it actually. I hope that will go well because the prices are incredibly high and I would need more processing power for my videos and for my content. The corners on the L-DAC are sharp, but not enough to cut your hand. It looks very ergonomic and it sounds generally extremely clean, crisp, very detailed. It is extremely linear. If you've watched some of my videos featuring reviews of GDS or GDS DACs, they generally tend to have a very warm and natural sound, but L-DAC, no. This is a smooth criminal. It sounds clear, sharp, well extended. It is brightish, kinda. So it is not bright, but it is dead on neutral. So it doesn't have any kind of coloration, not towards smoothness, not towards brightness. It's just so linear and so neutral. This also leads to a very deep and very wide soundstage, a very enjoyable presentation, excellent, and I mean absolutely outstanding dynamics, outstanding impact, and the sound that can be combined with anything. So it doesn't color the sound in any way, which means that the amplifier, the headphones or the speakers will do most of the coloration. Superb performance from L-DAC 2+. L-DAC. We then proceed to L-Amp 2+. This is the L-Amp. It has this beautiful volume wheel at the top. This is the actual volume wheel of L-Amp, so you'll have to have it within hand reach on your desk. It has this beautiful copper ring around the volume wheel, and it also has an LED light that lights up while it is turned on. I find that beautiful to look at. L-Amp has one headphone output, and that is it. It is a 6.3mm headphone output, so that is for single-ended only, but I grabbed this little accessory from DD Hi-Fi which converts that to a 4.4mm balanced headphone output. And it looks kinda like this. I think this is quite fun actually. I like having this setup because I can connect something like HiFiMan HA1000 version 2 with aftermarket cables to this setup and still feel good about myself. L-Amp has one input which is balanced input, and it has one output which is RCA single-ended. It has that output because it can act as a pre-amplifier for your setup. So you can use this volume wheel to control the volume out. There is an on-off switch, and there is the voltage input, and that is about it, about the physical design of the L-Amp 2+. As a headphone amplifier, I have to give it to the guys at GDS Audio. It's outstanding. It's like, this is the stuff I wanted to have. I always wanted to have something like this. I would compare the stack to something like the HiFiMan AF400 because they are in the same price range. AF400 is $50 more pricey, but for most practical reasons, they are pretty much priced the same. EF400 has an R2R DAC inside, but I disabled the R2R mode, so I use it in OS or oversampling mode and not in NOS mode or non-oversampling. And honestly, it's a complicated thing. I prefer the DAC part of the L-Stack. This is the element stack or the L-Stack 2+, and I prefer the DAC part. L-DAC is cleaner when used with external amplifiers. It provides a cleaner signal, it is more neutral and more detailed, usually with a wider soundstage and with better instrument separation. On the other hand, the headphone amplifier is also just as powerful on L-Stack. It is not more powerful on EF400. EF400 has more headphone outputs, that much is clear. It has 4.4mm balanced headphone output, it has an XLR headphone output, it has a large 6.35mm single-ended headphone output, and it has one 3.5mm single-ended headphone output. So it has 4 headphone outputs versus 1 on L-Amp 2+. But the sound is actually not necessarily better on either headphone amplifiers. They both show their pricing, both sound good as a headphone amplifier, both are outstanding. L-Amp 2+ sounds warmer, fuller, thicker, more impactful. It has better weight for each musical note. It sounds more bodyful, more plentiful. It has deeper impact and a deeper overall presentation. EF400, which I still have in the back and use, it is right above the Cyrus One cast. I hope it is visible. That one sounds brighter on the headphone output if you engage the OS mode, and much softer and it lacks impact on the nose mode. So I don't really like the air-to-air nose modes. They tend to make sound too dull for my tastes. It usually lacks dynamics and it's too relaxed. I just listen to a lot of metal and I prefer more dynamic or more punchy sound. EF400 is still a superb DAC/headphone amplifier, and having this doesn't degrade the performance of EF400. It just shows you an alternative that can be better for you, especially if you are looking for a warmer, thicker sound. The L-Amp2 Plus is outstanding. It's like it can add body, weight, and it can tune EMs that are usually bright or headphones that are usually bright to sound much cleaner. L-Amp2 Plus also has zero noise with EMs. It inherited that from the new Amp Plus from GDS Labs, and everything is just perfectly clean, perfectly clear. I could use the L-Amp2 Plus with everything from entry-level EMs to high-end EMs. Everything just works perfectly, even with that adapter from DD Hi-Fi. So it doesn't have any background noise. It has a very delightful, very playful presentation. It is generally enjoyable. It is just an enjoyable headphone amplifier. Ironically, I kinda prefer the HiFiMan HA1000 version 2 with L-Stack 2 Plus than with HiFiMan's own EF400, because L-Stack, especially thanks to L-Amp2 Plus, has more body to music, which balances the sound of HA1000 version 2, which can be a bit bright sometimes. So this one gives it a more natural overall tuning and a more natural sound. Overall, would I recommend the L-Stack 2 Plus? Absolutely. I think it is a superb stack. If you don't have a DAC/headphone amplifier already, and if you are looking for this kind of elegant, modern design, it is the best. It is like the best DAC/headphone amplifier with a beautiful design. I always liked the EF400 from HiFiMan, and I will probably still keep using that one as well, alongside the L-Stack 2 Plus. But a big but, that one will not sit on the desk being too tall, while this one can sit on the desk, and I like seeing this one. It's more aesthetic. It's like this one is the most aesthetic DAC/headphone amplifier stack that I have. There is also the Aun X1S GT, which is aesthetic, but just look at this. It is a really nice looking stack. It's like, I enjoy seeing this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed my video. I hope you enjoyed seeing this video, and I hope you enjoy seeing more videos at Audiophile Heaven. I hope you have the loveliest of weeks on there, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye.